Thank you for returning. My name is Jeff Staten, and this is Pressing Toward the Mark. Today, my friend, we're going to talk about recognizing the sacrifices of others. The sacrifices of others should cause that person with whom you are in a relationship to be more precious in your sight. Understanding what others are going through to maintain that relationship that you two have, whatever it may be, work, platonic, romantic, whatever it may be, their sacrifice should cause what they bring to the table to be precious in your sight, and should also cause them to be more precious in your sight. All right, man, let's get into it and let's talk about it. Turn with me to, we're going to look at 1 Chronicles. We're going to 1 Chronicles, the 11th chapter, and we're going to start at the 15th verse. 1 Chronicles, the 11th chapter, starting at the 15th verse, reading until the 19th verse. And it reads as follows. Now 3 of the 30 captains went down to the rock to David, into the cave of Adullam, and the hosts of the Philistines encamped in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in the hold, and the Philistines' garrison was then at Bethlehem. And David longed and said, "Oh, that one would give me drink of water of the well of Bethlehem that is at the gate." And the 3 brake through the host of the Philistine and drew water out of the wall of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. But David would not drink of it, but poured it out unto the Lord, and said, "My God forbid it me, that I should do this thing. Shall I drink the blood of these men that have put their lives in jeopardy? For with the jeopardy of their lives they brought it." Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mightiest. Here we have a story about David, right? David and Israel was once again at war with the Philistines, right? So the story that we hear about David and Goliath wasn't the first time Israel and the Philistines were warring. They were always warring, all the time. Israel stood in a very commercially strategic place on the map, right? You have Egypt to the left of them. You have Mesopotamia to the right of them, 2 of the strongest, most fertile early civilizations of the world. And below it, there's Arabia, Saudi Arabia. So there was this very fertile circle of commerce surrounding Israel, and Israel was kind of right in the middle of everything, right? And whoever controlled Israel kind of controlled people passing through, going to Egypt, going to Mesopotamia, going to Arabia, right? So Israel maintained a commercially strategic area, and Philistines were always fighting Israel for this position, right? And here you have David in a cave. It says that he was in a hold in a battle with the Philistines once again. And I think this verse indicates very clearly why God chose David to be his king over Israel. I really do. I really think that in this verse it shows that David had the heart of God, that David had the love of God naturally in him, right? David, a man that was clearly anointed by God to be king, right? Go read the story about David and you'll see exactly how David became king. He clearly was anointed by God to be king, and that caused him to have the heart of the people. When people are clear, when it's clear that you are chosen to be king, when it's clear that God has has chosen you to be king, it made the people that he ruled over more comfortable with him. And David, man, was a warrior king. The stories of David are clear, man. He was a king that was not afraid to literally pick up a sword and go in and fight and battle. The stories of Goliath alone should give you some indication that he was a warrior king. And him being a warrior king caused him to obtain the heart of the military. So David had the heart of the people. David had the heart of the military, which caused him to be a totally 360 true king, a 360 degree total ruler. He had the heart of the people. He had the heart of the military. He had the heart of Israel. David was the true ruler of Israel. And here you are, and here he is in a cave fighting the Philistines once again. And the Philistines, according to this verse, was in Bethlehem, which means they were in Israel. They were in David's home. And David is in this cave, it says, and he was suffering, and he wanted water. And his subordinates went out to retrieve this water for him. But something happened, and it's in this moment that it was clear to me that David possessed the heart of God. David looked over and ignored SOP. He ignored standard operating procedure. Standard operating procedure would have said, I am the king. I'm anointed by God. Go get me water. And no one would have looked at him differently. Why? Because of his position. His position, the standard operating procedure as it relates to his position, made it justifiable for him to make that request. I am the warrior king. Go get me water. And no one would have second guessed that request. I am the king that has the heart of my country. Go get me water. And no one would have second guessed that request. David's position as king made it justifiable for him to make the request for water. And not only that, his condition. This verse says that he was longing. He was suffering. His condition of suffering made it justifiable for him to ask for water. And no one would have looked at him strangely for that request. But what happened was David tore off his position, tore off what is obviously deserving of him, and he saw the sacrifice that his subordinates made. Once he took away his position, once he took away what he understood about himself, it made it clear to him the sacrifice that his subordinates were making. And once the true nature of his request was revealed to David, once they returned with the water, the fulfilled request became precious in his sight. The fulfilled request, the water that he requested, once he obtained it, the fulfilled request became precious in his sight. And we know this because he then asked himself, am I worthy of this water? The sacrifice that those men made for him caused him to look at the fulfilled request differently, and it caused him to look at himself differently. David started asking himself, questioning himself, became insecure in the light of the sacrifice. The fulfilled request became larger than him. Am I worthy of this? What do you mean, David? Are you worthy of this? Let's look at the first verse. And I know we didn't read that verse, but it'll make clearer what I'm trying to get across. Look at the first verse. Then all gathered themselves to David unto Hebron, saying, Behold, we are thy bone of thy flesh. What do you mean, David? Are you worthy? David, you are us. You are bone of my flesh. David, you and your kingdom are one. What do you mean, are you worthy of this request? Look at the second verse. And moreover, in times past, even when Saul was king, thou wast he that led us out and brought us in Israel. David, this verse is saying that the children of Israel is saying, David, we are Israel because of you. What do you mean? Are you worthy of this? We are who we are because of you. Keep reading. And they anointed. And the Lord thy God said unto thee, Thou shalt feed my people, and thou shalt be ruler over my people. David, God himself placed you over us. What do you mean, are you worthy? Have you forgotten who you are? And that's exactly what happened, man. That's exactly what happened. In the light of that sacrifice, in the light of the danger that he knew that his men went through, that these men risked life and limb for him, that these men forsook their family for him, that these men forsook their entire world for him. Let's look at a verse to show you exactly what type of sacrifice they made for David. Look at the 17th verse. And lo, and David longed and said, Oh, that one would give me drink of the well of Bethlehem that is at the gate. So David was asking for water that was in Bethlehem. Right? Let's look at the 16th verse. And this will show you the extremity of David's request. He was asking for water at the wall of Bethlehem. And the 16th verse says, And David was in the hold, and the Philistines' garrison was then at Bethlehem. So David wasn't just asking for water from anywhere. David was asking for them to go to where the enemy was and bring back water. That was a great sacrifice. And that sacrifice became clear to David. So much so that when the fulfilled request was brought to him, the fulfilled request became precious in his sight. You and I stand in this world holding many a position, right? And those positions naturally produce certain requests, or makes it justifiable for us to make certain requests, right? Your position as a husband naturally causes you to have certain requests of your wife. The position as a husband naturally causes you to request that your wife respect you. The position as a husband causes you to naturally request of your wife to give you solely the romantic love that she gives. That you justifiably as a husband can request that. But every now and then, man, brother, you should step outside of your position. That you should tear off what you've learned to be deserving, what you believe to be deserving, and look at the sacrifice that your wife makes for you. When you throw away your position and look at the sacrifice made by your wife, it will cause the request fulfilled to be precious in your sight. It would cause you to look at the fact that she comes home every single day to you to be precious. It'll cause you to look at the sacrifices that she makes for you to be precious. It will cause you to look at your wife in a more precious light. The sacrifice that she makes will not only cause you to look at what she does for you, what she brings to the table in a different light, it will cause you to ask yourself, am I worthy of what she brings to the table? The light will not only, the sacrifice that she makes will not only shine on her and make her more precious in your sight, that same light will shine on you and cause you to question yourself. Am I worthy of her? Am I worthy of what she's doing? Am I standing up against all that she's doing to make this relationship what it is? It's understandable that you have that request. It was understandable that David was asking for water and nobody second guessed him. But if you step out of your position and look at that sacrifice that people make for you, step out of your position as a wife, step out of expectations. As long as you are focusing on your position as a wife, as long as you are focusing on your position as a parent, all you have and all you see is your expectation of another. But if you take off the helmet of expectation and recognize the sacrifice of your husband, the sacrifice of your children, the sacrifice of your employees, the fact that your employees are leaving their family to come work for you, that your employees aren't being paid what they like, but they still work for you. And once you recognize the sacrifice, it'll cause you to look at these people in another light. What they do for you becomes precious. They become precious. It'll cause you to look at yourself in comparison to what they do for you. Never ignore, never underestimate the sacrifice that others make for you. In whatever relationship it may be. It's a relationship. There's a relating going on. And relating means there's an ebb and flow. And as long as you are stuck in understanding your role, your position in that relationship, you're never going to see the value of what people are doing to make you happy. As long as you are saying, I'm a great woman, he should do all these things. I'm a great woman. I deserve all of these things. I'm the father. My children should do this for me. Your position causes you to look solely at yourself. And when you remove your position, it'll make it clearer to you what those children are doing every single day to make you happy. What are the people in whatever relationship, what are they doing to produce what little bit of happiness that you have? You're in a relationship with someone. What are they doing to cause the happiness that you have? What are they doing to cause the comfort that you have? What are your employees doing to cause the success in your business? It is not only you deserve it as a boss. It is not only that you deserve it as a husband or a wife, but it's also the sacrifice. Understand the sacrifice, and what they do for you will be seen differently in your eyes. Then you will understand, hey, maybe they do need a raise. Maybe they do need these items to make things better for them, to make their job easier. Maybe I should let them come in later. Maybe if they come in late, I'm not going to freak out every single time. because I'm not just looking at their lateness as a disrespect to me and my position. I'm looking at the sacrifice that they make to be here every single day. And when you look at their efforts in that light, it makes things different. Man, recognize other people's sacrifice. And I promise you, it'll make your relationship work different. You'll see it different, and it will feel different to you. All right, man, I gotta go. I hope you got what I'm saying to you, man. Understand what other people are doing to make you happy. Get beyond yourself. Get beyond your position. Get beyond what you think you deserve. And look at the sacrifice. You'll see life tremendously different. All right, man, I gotta go. I say it every week. I mean it every single week. Thank you for showing up today. My name is Jeff Staten, and this is Pressing Toward the Mark. One love.